Hello, I am Shauna Kell, and I am your personalized guide to understand what's blocking you from experiencing a cup full of joy. So, thank you so much for taking the What's Blocking My Joy quiz. As a physical therapist, life coach, and holistic health and wellness coach for stressed out, overwhelmed, and worn out women, I know how often we search to just feel better and live a life of hope, peace, and joy. I'm here today to help you understand what's blocking your joy, and it may not be what you think. So often we think it's our circumstances, our problems, the world that is blocking our joy. But joy does not live in our outer world. It's an experience we feel inside. So I want you to see this cup right here. I got a cup, okay? Let's think of it as our body. Everything around this cup is in the outer world, but what's in this cup right here is what's in your inner world. And I believe, this is my belief, that we are spiritual, emotional, and physical beings. And though the outer cup represents my outer body, everything else resides inside. All right. And so today we're going to focus inside of our cup and how we can fill our cup with joy. Got some joy here. There's my joy, and all the other beautiful, wonderful things we desire. We also need to understand our biggest blocker, and it's stress. Yes, stress blocks us from experiencing a cup full of joy. So let's dive into how stress blocks our joy and where you may find yourself on the stress continuum and how that affects you daily. Now, remember I said joy is inside of my cup. Okay. Stress is also inside of our cup. I've got a whole bunch of stressors in here. We often think of stress as the people in our lives, the problems we may have, our computer, our car, our kids. Though all of those may be stressors, stress is how our nervous system inside handles the stressors that come our way. So if, like me, you have found yourself with a desire to feel more joy, or maybe you're struggling in your relationships, or maybe it's hard to have community and let people close to you, or perhaps you might notice that a lot of the time you're experiencing things like anxiety and worry and frustration, or you feel hopeless or shut down or kind of blah a lot. Maybe you're feeling depressed. All of those are clues or cues or indicators that your nervous system may be dysregulated. Now, don't worry, you're not alone. If your nervous system is dysregulated, it's the norm. Now, as I always say, normal is highly overrated. So today I'm going to share how you can have a more regulated nervous system. And guess what? When your nervous system is regulated, you experience more joy. So today I'm going to explain to you what this thing called our autonomic nervous system is. So do you like being in control? Often we don't feel in control when our autonomic nervous system is in overdrive. However, make sure to stay until the end because I'm going to share a way you can begin gaining control of your experiences and feeling more joy. So what's so exciting about this is doing so, we get to be in control instead of our outside circumstances having all of the control in our lives. And we spend more time in our lives in a regulated state, which I'm going to tell you about what that means in just a moment. All right. So within each of us, we all have something called an autonomic nervous system. Do you hear the word automatic when I say autonomic? Good, because that's exactly what it is. It's our system that works automatically. We don't even have to think about it. Can you imagine spending your whole day thinking about all the things you do automatically? Take a breath in, take a step forward. Don't forget to breathe. Heart, start beating. Oh, hand, move up to arm and scratch that itch. Is anyone else tired just thinking about all the things that your body does automatically? Like, now I need to digest my food, right? You see, our autonomic nervous system has one primary mission, which is to keep us, me, you safe and alive. So what I'm going to first do, okay, is I'm going to explain the different states within this autonomic nervous system. And some of these different states might be familiar to you as I describe them. And you may say, yeah, I experience that a lot, experience that one a whole lot, okay? So at any given moment, we are either regulated or dysregulated. And the experience of regulation, well, what that really means is that I'm living in the here and now. I'm actually present. And if my nervous system feels like life around me is actually safe, then I'm in this regulated state. I like to call this the thriving state. Okay. This is when we experience things like joy and connection and flow. Many say this is where you feel cool, calm, and collected. All right. We feel grounded, steady, capable, able. We have an I can experience. I can do it. I'm curious. This is where creativity, childlike wonder, all of these really wonderful things we desire occur. This is where we also experience intimacy, vulnerability, love, peace, hope, and all kinds of renewing emotions. This is when we are in what is called the parasympathetic state. And it's part of the ventral vagal complex within our autonomic nervous system. It's when our gut is able to digest our food. It's when our body restores itself, and it's where healing happens. Now, you may be thinking, well, am I spending very much time there? Or how do I spend more time there? Well, we have something within our autonomic nervous system called neuroception. And this is the first part, okay, of this self-protective circuit that works automatically. Think of it kind of like our threat detector, and it's right here in our brainstem. And every single millisecond of your entire life, which is astounding, it is working for you. And what it's doing is it's looking out into your outer world, looking around what's going on, and looking at the current situation to decide one of three things, okay? Is that safe? Is that dangerous? Is that life-threatening? Now, you may be thinking to yourself, how does it decide what is safe, what is dangerous, what is life-threatening? Well, let's back up to our cup analogy for just a moment. Each of our cups have collected data, past information, all of our life experiences, all of your life experiences are within your cup, okay? These are the good things that have happened to you and the good connections you've made with the people in your life. And then there are also those things that have been challenging to you, the things that maybe have been traumatizing in your life. This is where we often say the good, the bad, and the ugly reside inside, okay? And what we know about epigenetics is the unhealed traumas of our parents are also inside of our cups, as well as evolutionary responses. So every millisecond, this threat detector in the back of our brain is looking out into the world and asking, is that safe? Is that dangerous? Is that life-threatening? Now, let's say you look out your window. I got a window right back there, right? And you see a tree. And based on your experiences, your threat detector may say, that's safe. You may look at the tree and see God's creation. It's beautiful. You may even feel joy. This is when your nervous system is in a state of regulation. Everything feels good. Or your threat detector may say, danger, danger, because when you were a child, you fell out of a tree, much like the tree outside your window, and you broke your arm. And when this occurs, your system moves into this stress continuum, a dysregulated state, and you might find yourself resisting going near the tree. You may find yourself yelling at any kids that are trying to climb the tree. All of this happens automatically. We often call this a trigger. Sometimes we know why something triggers us, but more often than not, we don't. Or your threat detector may say life-threatening. Maybe as a child, you were in a forest when it caught on fire and you were traumatized. You thought you were going to die, that you would never get out. Maybe your puppy didn't survive. I'm using just one example, one tree, okay? One person may see the tree and feel one thing, and those around them may feel something totally different. All of this is based on a lifetime of experiences. Now, I could trade out this tree for a romantic partner, a stranger in the street, or being seen, or just taking up space, or using your voice, or being vulnerable, or whatever may be going on around you. And this threat detector takes all of this information it has from the past and it asks, is this safe? Is this dangerous? Is this life-threatening? And if your body doesn't feel safe, it sets off the alarm. Now that alarm moves through what I call the stress continuum. It moves us out of that parasympathetic state into the sympathetic state. Now where it stops tends to be your default mode or your joy blocker. It's the first stop is resistance. This is when we open something called our vagal brake to our heart. And what this really means is that it allows energy and blood to rush to our heart. And our heart increases. Why? Because our body is saying we need to mobilize, okay? It's go time. We need to do something when we're here. So when we're here, our heart rate will be increasing. We'll feel a lot of heat in our body. There'll be tension in our arms and our legs because our system is saying, I have to protect myself. Maybe you were in a relationship and you got hurt and your body says, nope, let's not do that again. Or let's say growing up, when someone didn't agree with another person, they would argue and fight back. So now anytime someone doesn't agree with you, your body says, I'm not safe, and you move into fight mode. Now let's stop right here for just a moment because I brought up a word a few minutes ago about epigenetics, and I used the evolutionary word. You see, the fight state is an evolutionary response, meaning that when your threat detector in the back of your brainstem alarm is set, your body says it's time to fight. And those women and men who fought in the past, they lived. And this is known as surviving, right? The women who didn't fight died. Those genes were not passed on. If physically fighting didn't scare the bear away, verbal yelling was the next reaction. So what I need you to hear is that your body is protecting you. It's saying, not to fear, I am here to protect you. Now I want you to ask yourself, do I spend any time here in the yellow zone surviving? If your joy blocker is the yellow zone surviving, I want you to know this is all part of your nervous system's way of keeping you safe. Even though the thing in front of you, like the tree in the here and now, might actually be safe, based on past information, our self-protective circuit is saying it's not safe in the here and now, even though it might be safe in the here and now. Now, let's continue to move through the stress continuum. Your alarm has been set and you've moved through that yellow zone, and now you begin to worry. You may even feel anxious. Your body is saying, I can't stay here. The danger is too great. Now, again, remember this is an automatic response, okay? You may have no idea why you're feeling anxious. The flight state has been activated. It has now moved all the blood flow to the extremities to allow your body to run. Now, you may feel like you need to move away from the danger if you're aware of what the danger is. Unfortunately, in today's world, we don't have many tigers and bears chasing us, so we don't know where to run to, right? So we find ourselves doing, going, and we still notice that our thoughts are busy racing, even if we do stop, okay? And we all feel like we have to do something, like I need to do something. And it's your body saying, I need you to move to protect yourself, all right? Now, there's also this, there's not enough time. right? Like the bear is going to get me even though I don't see the bear. It's like there's a time bomb about to go off. And if I don't get everything done, it's not going to be okay. And I have to control everything for everything to be okay and prevent against the bad things I think might happen. And that's what it's like to be in the green zone struggling. You may have even heard it in my voice. There is a lot of energy in this zone, and you do not feel calm or in our body. You feel restless. You feel fidgety. Okay. Again, you might feel tension. You might feel like you're on a roller coaster. You might feel like there's butterflies in your stomach. We may even have tunnel vision when we're here. And we may also notice we experience fear, frustration, terror, and a wide variety of other things. What's really important to know about our sympathetic nervous system is it may move through a vast range of experiences, starting from, I feel just a little concerned or a little agitated, all the way to terror. We all have our go-to places, okay? Something that we really know inside of our autonomic nervous system as the place to go when we don't feel safe. So if in the past you had experiences that were unsafe, and they're stored in this database, in your cup of information, and the way that you were able to get through them was by mobilizing with this sympathetic nervous system, flight state, by doing all the time, guess what your system's going to say? That's a really great thing or technique to use, and you may find your joy blocker in the green zone struggling through life. And it makes so much sense because your autonomic nervous system is doing everything it can to keep you safe. Now, let's continue through the stress continuum, because if we haven't learned how to move from this dysregulated state, okay, sympathetic, to the parasympathetic regulated state, we often find ourselves through the years moving into what I call the red zone. Our system doesn't know what to do when the alarm keeps sounding. It's like the threat detector is on danger, stuck, just danger, 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 danger. And that is all that it sees. This is often when we begin to get really emotional, might get angry, overwhelmed, and our body doesn't know how or where to find safety. It's already fought, it's already run. It doesn't know where to go at this point. Okay. And at this point, it's like our body has given us everything it has. Lots of heat. And it begins to believe this is how we have to navigate life, how we have to get things done. Okay. Sometimes we move from the red zone to the green zone to the yellow zone and back to the green zone and back to the red zone multiple times a day with no rest in sight. And here's the thing, until it has nothing left to give and we find ourselves in the burnout state. Have you been in the burnout state before? This is often when crisis occurs. We break down spiritually, or we break down emotionally, or we break down physically, or we just plain break down. This is when we often get diagnosed with a disease, and when we can't even remember the last time we felt joy. If your joy blocker is in the red zone, crisis, overwhelm, I want you to know that we don't have control over this threat detector. If we have had past experiences, traumas, especially in our childhood, the first 7 years of our lives, the littlest trigger can set off our alarm and keep us in this sympathetic state. If we haven't learned or been taught how to regulate and how to take off the vagal brake and move towards the parasympathetic state, our body really is doing the best it knows to do to protect us. And so the next step is when our body says, life threatening. I know you can't handle anymore. The alarm turns off. The heart rate begins to slow down, and we begin to move into the dorsal vagal complex, what I call the blue zone, and you may have heard it as the freeze state. This is the opposite of the sympathetic nervous system. You can think of it as immobilization or shutdown. You can think of it like a bear hibernating or a possum playing dead. Your system's saying, whoa, this is too much. I'm just going to shut down and I'm going to leave my body altogether. And then our body says, you're safe. You don't have to feel this anymore. No more overwhelm, no more running, no more fighting. You just kind of feel numb, done, don't care. Nothing matters. So you don't have to feel the pain of what you can't control. It's the body protecting you, keeping you alive. Body is so remarkable. One reason I am so passionate about this topic is that I remember life in that stress continuum between the yellow zone, green zone, red zone, and back through all day, every day for years. Then one day, my body, which I thought for a long time had betrayed me, until I realized that it was protecting me. Its job was to keep me alive. And that's exactly what it did, because I'm still here today. I believe with a purpose to share what I have learned on my health journey. And there is a way to fill your cup with more joy and spend less time in the stress continuum and more time thriving and living what I call an exceptional life. And if, like me, you have felt like there is something wrong with you because your joy has been blocked, like maybe you haven't tried hard enough, you just aren't good enough, or maybe you're not worthy of feeling joy, I want you to know there is nothing wrong with you. Your nervous system is wonderful, it's perfectly working. It just may not yet know that the thread it sees is actually over. It hasn't had the opportunity to heal. So just like we have a stress continuum that moves us away from joy, we also can move through healing stages towards joy. And this is when I would like to invite you to my Fill My Cup online retreat. It's 5 nights that we're going to move through this stress continuum, okay? And I'm going to teach you a wonderful, gentle way that you can learn how to shift from the sympathetic stress state of the yellow zone or the green zone or the red zone to the beautiful blue zone thriving, where we actually can experience joy. Each night, I'm going to share for 20, 30 minutes at the most about your nervous system and one of the zones in the stress continuum and one of the healing stages. And then we're going to do a 5 to 10 minute journaling session, setting an intention related to joy. And then you are going to get to experience a 15-minute restorative breathing session to move out those stressors, all right, that are blocking your joy. And then we're going to end the evening with a debrief. Now, in these 5 days, you're going to begin to reset your nervous system from dysregulated to regulated. And I hope that you will either join me live or by replay as you fill your cup with joy. Have a great day. Bye.